Hey guys, it's Mike with another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Today we're actually going to talk a little bit about the state of the game and what I'm seeing going on. I think it's coming at a good time because I'm 3 days away from maxing out my castle. I'm going to be all the way on level 20. I think that is the highest level. So that's kind of interesting. I'd say as far as Endgame is concerned, I'm definitely there. So 18,000 rubies to skip 3 days. I'll wait. I think it was 20-something days to get to this point, which is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. But what I want to talk about today is basically what is going on with the player base, what's going on with the content creators, what's going on with Netmarble, and kind of get a feel for the game itself. So starting with Netmarble, we have had I think 4 or 5 champions back to back every 2 weeks launching into the game with updates. Been getting new bosses and Hall of Conquerors. We did get new content with Hall of Conquerors not too long ago. So I do feel like they are making a lot of efforts to basically bring a lot of new stuff in every 2 weeks. Now that being said, I mean, obviously as a player base, we always want more. They haven't introduced any rare characters, uncommons or commons. They haven't added any additional factions. They did do the Hall of Conquerors, which I think is fantastic game content, but you are starting to see a lot of people actually maxing that out, getting 300 hearts every season, which is showing that that content has kind of, you know, like people are catching up. People are figuring it out. They're getting the chivalries they need on the players they need to have them on, and they're able to beat those bosses. So bringing something more, maybe a little slightly more challenging, might be worthwhile. But I will give Netmarble credit here because we were getting a new champion every month or every 6 weeks for a little while there, and unfortunately I think we lost a lot of players during that time. But they have been on a pretty good 2-week cycle of bringing something new into the game every 2 weeks. They also every week change out some of the events and just kind of keep it a little bit fresh. But a lot of the events they run, you can knock them out and complete them within a day or two. So for an entire week after the first day or two, you really don't have a whole lot to do because you've probably been stockpiling resources. So when the reset happens, you're ready to rock and roll. You get everything done in a day, and then you're like, all right, what do I do for 6 days and wait for the next event to come through? But that being said, beggars can't be choosers, and I'm going to say thank you, Netmarble, for the efforts there. I think getting things out every 2 weeks has been probably pretty challenging for you guys, but we definitely appreciate it as a player base. When it comes to King Arthur on the content creation, they actually have a kind of cool thing with Netmarble where you can sign up to be a content creator, and then players can go and support their favorite creator. And then the creators do different tasks that give you coupons that you put in game to actually get, you know, a few summons here or stamina or just kind of little goodies to help you along the way. I have noticed quite a few folks kind of fall off this list over time, and it seems to be pretty slim pickings now as far as who's actually engaging with the game and still playing the game on the content creation side. We can also see this when we head over to YouTube. We just did King Arthur Legends Rise and went most recently updated. For a long time there, I was bottom of the barrel. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel. I was just getting, you know, between 100 to 200 views on my videos. Some of them, when we do this, is actually the reset and the update, so those get a few more views than the other ones. But I mean, as we go through this, I mean, I have the most recent update 2 days ago. I've got the King Arthur introduced Vala 3 days ago. 1 day ago, I got the Hall of Conquerors. 9 hours ago, building Vala. Like, if we look at who's actually putting videos out, there's not a lot of people doing videos for King Arthur. I think for a while there were quite a few content creators posting videos, and they could kind of get away with not advertising the game because there were people advertising it for them. But at this point here, like, I mean, you look at the views of some of these folks. Here's a 1,500, and it's going to be, I'm assuming, in a different language there, but he's doing a great job getting some views on his account. But a lot of these are just getting very few views, so content creators are drying up because, you know, I mean, most content creators are here to make money. I'm just playing a game and having fun. Actually, I think I just got over $200 lifetime on my YouTube channel, so it's pretty exciting there. I've spent $200 on King Arthur, so it's about a wash, so probably about to spend some more money on, about time to spend some more money on King Arthur. But as you go through here, there's just not a lot of content creators advertising the game for them. And so what I think what needs to happen is they need to go out there and they need to start promoting the game. If they want to actually build it, I think going through that 7-day player experience for a new player, I think the new player experience is definitely better than when I started, and I think the retention will be higher. There's more to do in the game, and it takes you longer to do it. So you're not going to get to the finish line super fast and then wonder what you're doing in the game. But I do feel like, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot, but it needs to be something. Like, they need to be out there promoting their game. Like, I can't hardly go into any YouTube video anywhere without seeing Raid Shadow Legends pop up everywhere. I know they invest a lot of money in advertising, and they also make a ridiculous amount of money compared to Netmarble and King Arthur. So they do have more money to work with, but it's kind of one of those, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Are you going to get players first, or are you going to have to make the investment to get the players through marketing so that you have more money for marketing to get more players? So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. The other thing I think is a pretty big miss, when you actually go to King Arthur Legend Rise official page, like, the only videos they really launch, if we come into videos and the latest, are they basically just launched new character videos. I feel like by promoting their stuff here with the devs coming in and talking about some of the stuff, the roadmap, maybe even just putting some cool teams together, some arena strategies, something extra here that engages with players that they could actually promote. But I mean, you're looking at this is the official King Arthur page, has 1,000 views. And I know not all the players that play King Arthur come on YouTube and engage with content and go this route. But, you know, I would think 25 to 50% of players do. I would think. But I honestly don't know. I don't have that number. I'm just spitballing. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this should be the stop that everybody that wants to get information from the game would come here. And so just judging from the views they have on these pieces, it just feels like it's a little lackluster, and a little more energy could be put into some other videos that potentially could advertise their game for them. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this. They have 80 total videos on their channel, and I think I just did episode 116 of King Arthur, plus 7 on the free to play, so I'm over 120. And I'm just a little guy just out here just having fun playing a game. So I feel like if they were taking this seriously as a business, they should be launching videos periodically, just trying to get more and more kind of excitement about the game, about what's going on. I think a good recipe for this would be Fateless. If you've been following what Fateless is doing, they're creating a lot of hype about their game Godforge that's coming out. The alpha just launched, and the first wave is underway right now. I'm actually a part of the second wave. I think it starts on August 13th, so I am super excited to get into that game and play. And I think it has a lot of merit, just being an incredible RPG mobile game where you get to go, in there and collect your characters and have a good time. But the thing I'm most excited about that game is it's a game for gamers by gamers. And so I feel like the community around it is very positive, very excited. I think that the people working on the game are excited to hear from the community. They're a part of the community. They take feedback, and they're building a game that they've always wanted to play. And hopefully it's something we all want to play too. But I do think that for King Arthur, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you're going to have a lot of competition coming out over time, and you need to get your name out there. I think the game itself is a great game, and there's a lot of fun to be had in King Arthur, but nobody knows about it. And I think all the people that knew about it, they maxed out their accounts and got bored and they left. And now you're just kind of limping along, hoping to get some new folks in there. And I think launching a video about the character you're launching every 2 weeks is not really going to get that done. I do think that the Aqua Guinevere was an effort to kind of create some sort of excitement over a unique and different character. I do think it was a huge miss. I think that it cheapens the game, makes it silly. Like we've talked about all the things about Aqua Guinevere I don't like. She does smack, and she's a good champion as far as that goes, but I really hope they just reskin her completely. And I think that would be the best thing for the game. But I think stuff like that, where you're offering one-time champions, could be a way of promoting recruiting new players to come in. Like with Raid Shadow Legends, they did a whole collaboration with Ninja and brought in a specific hero they were never going to bring back into the game. You got one chance to get this hero, and then they lied to everybody and brought him back in the game. But that's just what Plarium does, so that's what they do. But that would be an opportunity to bring some buzz around King Arthur and potentially get some folks excited to log back in. You get fragments over 7 days, you get the new hero, whatever it is, however they want to do it. But kind of make it a big deal and put some money into that marketing. I think you could get a lot of new players. So that being said, I've been playing the game since the beginning of the year, and now we're coming up on August. So almost 8 months I've been playing this game. I've been having a lot of fun. I'm still, as far as engagement and so forth, like I have a very in-game account. If we look at the things I'm actually working on, I have every character in the game. There's not a single character in the game that I don't have. Which is, for a gacha game, I think is a problem. Long term, it's a problem. I think you need to have way more characters than you can achieve, and that way you're always excited to try to get new characters. The way that the chivalries work in this game, it is kind of tough to do that because you need 10, 11 copies of every character to max them out. But, maybe having twice as many characters would be a good way to go. That being said, they're adding a new legendary character every 2 weeks, so eventually we'll have twice as many characters. But really, for me and what I'm doing in the game right now is I'm trying to get all of the relics for all the characters. And I'm only, I don't know, I'm probably missing 20 maybe. As far as that goes. And recently the new characters that have launched, they don't have the other relics available. So Vala has only got her flame, Revenant Merlin only has the storm, Lagertha only the frost, and then Aqua Guinevere's only the frost. So that gives me less to work on. That being said, they recently added the relic enhancement, where you can go in here and with copies of relics you can go ahead and enhance it up to 10 times. Which I think is a good thing. It's a very long-term goal, but again, it's just so many copies of a thing to get it maxed out. I feel like it'd be more fun to have other things instead of just so many copies of the same thing, the same kind of idea. Instead of having so many copies of Morgan to get her maxed out, it'd be fun to have other characters. But that being said, they've kind of set the foundation for the game with where it is, and I think that their drop rates are generous enough that getting 11 copies of a character is free, even for a free-to-play account. And now with the wish list and everything else, it's not that unachievable. Like, if you play the game, you're going to be able to max characters out. And if you have specific characters you want to max out, you put them on your wish list, and you have a 25% chance every time you pull a legendary of getting the character you want. Which I think is super generous and really cool. I've been really pleased with the drop rates of the game. My biggest struggle is I'm stacking up chivalries faster than they're adding characters. So the reality of my account is inevitably I'm going to get maxed out. But at that point in time, I'm working on those different relics. I actually just pulled Lancelot's Frost Relic. So I'm super excited to get over here into Hall of Conquerors. I would say, honestly, this is the end-game content that gets me the most excited. Every week we get either a replenishment of these bosses or a new cycle of variations of the bosses. And then obviously different affinities to tackle. So it's actually been pretty refreshing. That being said, in the global group here, a lot of people are hitting, I think, what was it, 7 people have already completely beat all the bosses, which this was supposed to be pretty in-game content, and now you have 7 folks, and this is the global, so it's not like 7 in my group, but that have completely defeated this in its entirety. So I think the best person in my group's at 216, so they're really solid. 70 across the board is pretty good. I'm sitting down here with my measly 62, but I did just get that Frost Relic, so I'm hoping I can step that up. And then I got some work to do on this team, and I think I can get it over 50. But anyway, I digress. But this is some great in-game content, but now we're looking at it, and it's probably 8 weeks old-ish, maybe a little bit longer. And in here, you're getting rewards where you can get fragments for Caliburn Arthur's Relic. But most people that are getting this are getting 1. So you need to do this 10 weeks in order to get this. Very few people are doing it any faster than that. There are several people in the game that do have the Storm Relic that are showing it off, and it's kind of fun. But I think that realistically, I think top 50, maybe you get 2 of these, and top 100 or top 200, you get 1. I think 10 weeks is a long time to wait, especially they do 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. So you do 4 weeks for the storm, 4 weeks for the frost. So you're really looking at 8, you're looking at 12, 16, and then on that 20th week, and the 18th week, if you were able to hit the top 50 every time, you'd finally get this relic. So, I mean, that's a long time. 18 weeks, I think, if you were giving that to the top 200, probably wouldn't be a bad way to go. But I do think that to a certain extent, there should be kind of some better rewards in there, too. Because the folks that have the Storm Relic already, what are they doing? They're just showing off. But there's really not they're going to come in, they're going to play one time, max everything out, and they're not going to log in for 2 weeks and wait for the next character to come out. So the in-game aspect of it, I think, is kind of being reached. The other in-game piece, at least for me, is hard mode Forbidden Dungeon. I honestly find this to be more frustrating than fun. Like, I go in here and I want to start this battle. Well, I have to use a rare character that is a control with a frost relic. So I'd have to use a rare character and then 2 frost controls. Well, these are the best characters I have with frost. Anguish is not, he just dies. Like, he just goes in there and dies. He's useless. So I'm trying to beat this, which is a very hard level with 3 characters, and I go through and I try and I try and I try, and then I get bored and I'm just like, I just don't even want to try anymore. I just go back and I auto clear this. So it's not necessarily a fun scenario for me, but you know, I feel like it's more of a time suck than anything else. Every time I put any energy into it, I kind of just get stuck, and then I wish I didn't spend a half hour trying to beat it. That being said, I did just pick up Lancelot's Frost Relic, so maybe I can bring in Turin as my healer. You pop out Nika and make that work. So there's some stuff to work through there, but it just has been kind of a frustration point rather than a point of fun. The other thing they added is the Dimensional Rift. This I do think is pretty cool. They require that you use 8 individual characters for every level. The stages get progressively harder. I have not been able to beat this even with my in-game account. And it's probably more due to a lack of strategy. As I get to a point where I get stuck, it kind of has the same feel as the Forbidden Dungeon for me, where it's like, okay, I'll try this, it doesn't work, okay, I'm not going to try anymore. And that's kind of where I get hung up with it, but I probably could press on further than I have been getting. It's just a matter of, you know, whether or not I find the game mode very fun or engaging. But there are some rewards in here that do help you out with getting some stuff on the, you know, making your account more in-game. So I probably should spend a little more time in here, but I just don't. I just kind of go through and get as far as I can with what I have. I think one of the things that would make this game mode more engaging, as well as Hall of Conquerors, is when you actually complete a level. I don't have any tickets, so I can't do it. The 4 people you use will show up right here. So if you're going through and you're trying to theory craft, you can't use these 4, or it erases that ticket that you just put in right here. Whereas I think that it would be kind of cool if you could use those characters and then decide whether or not you wanted to keep that ticket or not, and to kind of see if that was the way to go. That way you're not getting punished for doing it, or maybe you wait for the reset, get the other ticket back, but you're not sitting there flipping, flopping back and forth to get that through. Now that's probably a little less true here than it is for Hall of Conquerors, because like in this case, like what if I wanted to try to use Caliber and Arthur over here and I happen to set a record? Well, now this record goes away. Regardless, if I got to 45 hearts, this record goes away as soon as I use him on this team. I don't think I have to set a record. As soon as I use him on this team, this record goes away. Whereas I think you should be able to kind of mix and match and kind of play around and be like, hey, do you want to save these results? Because it will get rid of this record. And then you're like, yeah, you know what? I was only able to get 1 extra heart here. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to my 53 hearts here. So I'm going to not save those results. But then I can actually go all the way through the last day. Because that's the thing, at the last day, you're like, I don't want to change anything on my team because RNG got me as far as I did, and it's going to take me how many runs to get that RNG back, and even if Caliber and Arthur goes over here and just does monster work for me, then I got to put together a team that gets semi-close to this with Talos, and it's just kind of a frustrating thing where it's like once you get locked in after day 3 or 4, you're basically just trying to push on the hearts with the team you have, or using people that aren't in other teams. So I think there's just a better way they could do this that would make it more engaging. I think another sticking point I have personally is the Sealed Temple. With this, I think there's two things. The first thing is I can't farm this and this every day, and I only get to do 6 per day. So I'm constantly needing books. I'm constantly needing talismans. It's just a constant battle as to what I can upgrade and who I can move forward with. And it slows down so much progress. Now, I think to a certain extent, it's good that it slows down progress because you don't want people maxing all their characters out right away. That being said, I think that a good compromise, they recently just added here where you can do ×5. I don't know, it's not showing up probably because I don't have any tickets, but if you made this where you could go to 10 instead of 6 per day, or you could go 5 per day on each one of them, something like that I think could be a pretty big win. That being said, there's probably people that have maxed this out and just need books, or people that have maxed books out and just need talismans. So maybe not making it where you can farm each of them, but maybe 10 a day would be a good compromise where we could start to make a little more progress than what we're getting now, because it just feels like a grueling task to get books and talismans on the account. Another thing I find kind of interesting is in this achievements here, as you go through, I've been playing for 8 months, and so as I kind of look at some of these things, it just surprises me how many things I still have to do, which tells me that I don't think that these are scaled correctly. Like, my feeling would be, like, when you finish all these achievements, I'm not sure what the final result or the final reward is, but I feel like it should be a ridiculously good character. Like, you can only get the character by completing all of these things, and if all you did is focus on doing this, maybe you could do it in 6 months, but probably closer to a year for most players. And then you get, you know, a character similar to Caliburn Arthur, where it's just like he's a damage dealer above and beyond, or a character like Morgan that just is an amazing support control character that just works everywhere. But I think putting a really unique and cool character at the end of all this, I'd be curious how many people in the game have completed this to 100%. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if nobody has, which I think is honestly, it's a problem, because some people have been playing the game for more than a year. So I don't think something like this is really designed as kind of more of an onboarding process and then kind of like a long-term goal. But there's no carrot at the end of it that makes you want to try. Like, you're like, oh, I mean, 700 rubies is nice. It's cool. But it's not enough for me to come in here every day and be like, what can I fix? What can well, maybe I can level up some relics. Or maybe I can do some hero awakens. Like, I don't pay attention to any of this. I just play the game, and every now and then a red dot pops up, and I'm like, oh, what'd I do? And I go in and look at it. So I think that could be something that could be a little better. And by bringing that really cool, unique character in there, I think it would kind of focus some attention in there where people would spend a little more time trying to get that done. The other end game content that exists in all these games is Arena. They did bring in this event Arena, which I've actually had some pretty good fun with it. You just press on, you can move up 4 every time. You get some extra tokens, which I think is beneficial. You can go spend those in the Arena shop and get extra copies of some of the legendary champions in there. Every time, I think this is the 3rd season. Yeah, so I actually finished first on both the first 2 seasons for my group. Which I don't know if it's a group thing or it's just kind of everybody can just plow through. By the time you get to level 100, you kind of start having to theory craft a little bit to play different teams. You're not punished for trying different teams. You can just try as many times you want, which I think is actually really nice, because it starts to let you learn the arena and what works and what doesn't work. That being said, this arena, I honestly, I hardly ever play it. I don't like the Anya meta that's going on right now. I don't like when I come in here and fight and I lose 20 or 26 points, and then when I win, I get 10. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous. Like, I have to go in here and win 2 or 3 battles for every one that I lose in order to get through it. And it's like, I have a pretty solid account, but I mean, when I come up against a 50, there's no hope. There's not even a chance I'm going to win this. And it's just kind of frustrating more than it's fun. And I thought Saris was going to be my answer, and I got her to Chivalry level 8, and she's like 350 speed. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to get through some of these teams now. And I went in there, and it could be a lack of strategy. It really could be. But I died immediately. And it was like, well, that's not what I was hoping for. And I spent, you know, a month and a half building Ceres for that reason specifically. And it was like, okay, well, that didn't answer the problem that I had, so I guess that's where I'm at. I've never been able to reach Platinum 3. Every time I kind of press on and try to get extra, I start losing more. Or, you know, you lose one, you win one, you lose one, you win, and you just drop all the way back down. So this is, for me, it's not really in-game content because I honestly just don't care. I can't really be bothered with it. But to be fair, arenas in any of these games has never been where I like to spend my time. So I'm not going to say that their arena is any worse than any of these other games. But I just, you know, the meta to me is just, it's just not a fun, it's not a fun dynamic. I think the best arenas I've ever been a part of is like a triangle where you have this team beats, you know, A beats B, B beats C, C beats A. And that way there's no one meta team that just sits on top, because all three of those teams could, you know, it cycles through. So whichever team you want to build, or if you build all three, you can kind of cycle through that and make it work. Ideally, you could do more than three, whereas like 4 or 5 or 6 different teams would beat other teams. But it can get a little more convoluted and a little more, you know, just a lot to keep track of as a player. One of the other obstacles I see with this game for new players specifically is when you look at the kits of these players, they are kind of complicated. The tough thing is you have passive skills for each of the champions that go on here. You have active skills for each of their relics, and then each of their relics has, oh, it won't let me do that. Each relic they have has 3 different active skills. And for the most part, like 2 of them are usually similar, the same, and then 1 changes. So it's not too much to keep track of, but it is a lot. And then you get stuff where it's like you get the Stygian Aura, which is a specific buff for Caliburn Arthur here. And then you have different debuffs that are specific for each champion. And so it's just a lot to figure out. And then on top of that, you also have cooldown effects. So here, this has a cooldown of 1 turn. This one has a cooldown of 6 turns. So not only do you have a vigor issue where you're like, okay, I need to have the vigor to do the thing that I want to do, which it took me a while to get used to it, but I kind of like it. I do kind of like it because you can prioritize where it's like, hey, I'm going to use everybody's A1 just so that this character can use their A3 every time. And it's like it's a different element of strategy, which I think is kind of fun. But when you put that in there with the vigor limitations, on top of cooldowns, on top of passives, on top of actives, on top of other relics, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then you put on top of everybody has their own buffs and debuffs. But here you have Spirit Parade, right? Nobody else uses Spirit Parade. This is just for Nika. And the funny thing is all that does is add vigor, which is the same thing as amplification. So I don't know why there's 2 different names for it. Like, that doesn't even really make sense. I mean, I guess in some cases, like, this buff will remain on the champions, whereas Spirit Parade falls off when she dies. So, I mean, I guess there are some limitations to one versus the other. But it's just kind of one of those limiting things where you look at every champion you pull up. Lightning Strike. I don't think anybody else has Lightning Strike. This takes 5% damage for each turn and brings the crit rate down. I mean, why doesn't it just bring crit rate? Why aren't those 2 different debuffs that this does? And it just lands both of those debuffs. And then I don't have to learn about Lightning Strike. I just know that we do damage down and we do crit rate down. And there's a big version, there's a little version, or whatever, however it breaks down. But it just makes it overly complicated. And I think for new players, like, it took me a long time to realize how Morgan's turn meter works. And then I haven't even got into this. And then on top of that, you have the chivalry, where as you open things up, it changes the skill. Or it changes the cooldown, or it changes the effectiveness, or it changes how much it works, or something along those lines. So there's so many different things going on there that can really kind of get convoluted for a new player. That being said, I mean, there's a learning curve with any game, but I do think that there's ways that this could be kind of streamlined and made a little easier to understand. So all that being said, I always like to leave on a positive note, because I still am having a lot of fun with this game. The reason that I have the passion behind the suggestions and things, because I'd like to see this game be successful. I know a lot of people play the game, they're having a good time with it. There's a lot of passion in the comments below. I hear suggestions all the time about, oh, I did this with this character, or try this or try that, and it's people are engaging with the game and they're having a good time, and I just want to see it be the best version of itself. Selfishly, I would love a lot more players to play because I'd probably get a little more views on my YouTube channel. I could spend more money in the game. But that's, that's just a selfish reason. But I still look forward to logging into the game every day. I find myself everything all dialed in, and I've done all my chores, and I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at gear sets, and I'm like, okay, how can I push on my Hall of Conquerors, and just kind of going through all those different pieces that I do enjoy with the game. And every time I'm over here in Lake Avalon doing summons, I still enjoy it. I have every character in the game. I still love it. When I see a legendary pop up, I'm excited. There's added perks to every chivalry you get. So it's like it's always pushing you to push your account just a little bit further. And I am getting to a point now where I feel like I'm starting to max stuff out. I'm about to max out my castle from what I understand. I think the market's maxed out. From there, once I'm on castle level 20, I can upgrade the mill and the lumberyard, which I don't really know what the purpose of upgrading those are going to be if the castle's built, because I don't think you spend those resources anywhere else in the game. So that's kind of interesting. Didn't really think about that. But you got Mage's Tower, I think, goes to level 10. Relic Forge goes level 10 once I get, I believe, once I get this to 20. So, but I'm getting to a point where like I'm really actually getting to a complete endgame account. There's still relics I'm looking for as far as that goes, and there's still achievements. Like I would like to press on in. I went into clan. I would like to press on in arena and get up into higher statuses. But it's I don't know. The current meta is just detracting me from doing it. I probably could with the team I have and the gear I have, but it's just not something that I find fun, so I just haven't put time into it. Another opportunity I see in the game is the gear that we get and how hard it is to get good gear in this game. If you go over into the equipment dungeons, there is nowhere to farm Vigor, and Vigor is the answer right up until endgame. Even now I have Nika on Chivalry level 8. She's not on every team. So if and now they have some where you get Vigor if you build a bull team, or bull favor allies get Vigor, or whatever the case is, which is helpful. But it's still almost always beneficial to build people in Vigor sets because you're mixing and matching. You might not be getting the Vigor you need. If you're not running your A3 or your A2, then the play falls apart. So I think Vigor needs to be somewhere you can farm it, and I would prefer it be a new dungeon if I could suggest it. Just a new boss, new mechanics, completely new. I think that would be a major win. And then I think that potentially drop rates on 6-star legendary gear could be a little better. And then when you get over here into the forge, this crafting equipment, the drop rates here should definitely be better. I can tell you, I probably have crafted, there's no way I've crafted 100 times for a 5 and 6-star piece. In the 8 months I've played, there's no way I've done that. Now, I don't go in there and I just farm this stuff so that I can craft 5 and 6-star gear, but 100 pieces of gear is not that many pieces of gear for 8 months. And there's a lot of champions that I want to put gear on, and then I can put 2 sets of gear on each champion. There's no, I haven't even started thinking about putting a second set of gear on any of my champions because I don't have enough gear to get on my champions as it is. I went through and actually with the rubies when they were doing the legendary 6-star pieces, I bought 6 sets of 6-star legendary pieces. I think I still have some left, right? Where are they at? So Ascension, I had 50 of these. I had 50 of the Safeguard. I think I bought 4 sets of 50 for the Vigor and a Speed. So I think it was 7 6-star pieces of gear, like sets. So that's 350 pieces of gear. Now all of them weren't usable because you get flat stats on your secondary items, and they're basically trash. So that I didn't get everything I needed, but that was the only reason that I'm competing in the things I'm competing in. When I go through my pieces and I have all this 6-star legendary gear, that's where it came from. I think I did actually do a effect accuracy as well. So I mean, I had a lot of rubies and I went after it. I think some sort of way of bringing that back in on a limited basis, I think allowing me to buy 8 packs of it is probably excessive. But letting folks buy 10 pieces at a time with whatever, and over the course of 2, 3, 4 weeks, you can stack up some pieces on your account where you can actually build some characters. Right now, when I get new characters, it is like I'm borrowing gear from people. I'm breaking apart other builds. Like, it's kind of frustrating having to go through that process. So I do think making 6-star gear more accessible in the game would be a big win for the player base. But I think that's about what I got for you today. I didn't mean for this to be a bunch of negative things about the game. I still have a lot of fun playing the game. I want to see the game be successful. I think that it has a lot of structure, good bones here. I think with some advertisement and getting in front of new players, I think it could go a long way. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether or not I'm just kind of full of it, if I'm like, too optimistic, too pessimistic, whatever the case is. But I'd be curious to know your thoughts. But I appreciate you hanging out with me all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next time.